What it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't love the content, you can still do those things because you could always help a brother out, and a brother would always help you out. Also, you want to make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our glorious content. And also, another thing you want to make sure you do is comment. I'm getting more feedback. Feedback is excellent. I love feedback. Make sure that you talk in the comment section. I will reply because ball is life. And hang on towards the end of this video so you can catch some of our suggested videos that we know you'll love. Antonio Gates. Haven't talked about this guy in a while, man. I used to be obsessed with football more so than even now. And the reason being is because I used to be obsessed with NBA 2K. And I used to play Madden a lot back in the day, but Madden is horrible, and it drives me nuts that Madden is the only person allowed to make a football game. It makes me sick, but it is what it is, and, you know, one day, hopefully, they'll bring 2K football back. It's the best football I've still ever played. The latest version they made was 2K5, and 2K5 is better than Madden 2025. That's how ridiculously bad Madden is, in my opinion. Funny quick story. I know we're talking about Antonio Gates, but just really quickly, I stopped playing Madden because a friend of mine got a 6 onside kicks back in a league game in Madden, and I ended up losing in the playoffs, and I dang near threw my controller through the window. And I really haven't played Madden since. I hate it, and I got tired of it cheating me out of victories. My boy just started kicking onside kicks, and they started working for him. I was up like 5 touchdowns, man. And then I ended up losing the game. And after that, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'll never touch this again. And I haven't. And that was like 2017 or something like that, 16. It was a minute ago. Back to Antonio Gates. So Antonio Gates recently just got into the Hall of Fame. And, I mean, the guy was impressive as a player. There's nothing you could say bad about him. I remember, again, when I was playing Madden big and NFL 2K, I remember him during that time and how great he was on the field. I mean, he was arguably the best tight end of that era. I mean, Tony Gonzalez was still playing when I was watching Gates, but this was kind of a period between Tony Gonzalez and then Gronkowski was basically Antonio Gates. And he was every bit as good as they were. I mean, he was right there. He was right there. I mean, he was nice. I don't know how big he is exactly. Pause, no diddy. But he was a problem for people to deal with. He was definitely a problem. In fact, let's just figure out how big was Antonio Gates. How big is Antonio Gates? He was 6'4".
6 feet 4 inches tall.
Okay, 6'4". How much did Antonio Gates weigh during his playing days? 255. So he's about 6'4", 255. He's a big boy. He's a big boy, and he played basketball. And that's where this story gets kind of funny. So this guy managed to actually become the first Hall of Fame player ever to make it to the Hall of Fame without playing a down of college football, which is extremely impressive. You got to give him his props for that. He never played football in college, not even one play, and somehow still made it to the NFL. Not only did he make it to the NFL, he made it to the NFL and became a Hall of Famer. And he's the only person to ever do such a thing. That's extremely impressive. Now, on the flip side, I wonder who made it to the NBA that never played, and has that ever been done? Somebody that never played. Well, again, you can actually come out of high school in the NFL, in the NBA. You could at one point. So, I don't think that flies. But is there a person that never played organized basketball in high school, never played in college, and then still made it to the NBA? That'd be insane. That'd be insane. Hopefully somebody could do some research on that. But like I said, Antonio Gates was a monster. I mean, he also played on a team with LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers. And LaDainian Tomlinson is definitely a Hall of Famer. Is Phillip Rivers? Let me just check. Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer? So he's not yet, but they're saying it's likely that he will be at some point. Phillip Rivers was nice. I mean, he was nice. Talking trash, country boy, got 27 kids, but the right way. So I get mad when people try to say, oh, Phillip Rivers has all these kids. No baby mamas. One wife, a legion of kids. That's the way. If you're going to do it that way. That's how you're supposed to get it done. But Phillip Rivers was nice. He just never won. And that's really the big problem here. Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, and LaDainian Tomlinson were nice. And Gates and Tomlinson were extremely elite at their position. But they just never really won. They couldn't get over the hump of some of those teams out there, whether it be the Steelers, the Ravens. Obviously, Tom Brady and those boys were still out there doing what they do. So they just could never really get over the hump. But they had a really good team. They just always messed up in the playoffs. Which even now, if you watch Justin Herbert, that seems to be the issue with the Chargers. They were on the Chargers, by the way, if you didn't know. They just can't seem to do anything with anything. I think, didn't they have a 24-point lead or something crazy like that and then still didn't score after halftime and lost the game last year or one of those years recently? So they're really kind of cursed, low-key. But just to go over some career highlights, really, with Antonio Gates, he still holds the record for most receiving touchdowns by a tight end with 116. And he's the Chargers' all-time leader in receptions with 955. He has 11,841 receiving yards, which is impressive, and receiving touchdowns. Okay, like I said, he's the all-time leader in that as well. He was also a 3-time first-team All-Pro, an 8-time Pro Bowler, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, again, they don't talk about him that much. They talk about Tony Gonzalez. They talk about Kelsey. They talk about Gronkowski. They talk about Shannon Sharp. But this boy was in that conversation. He was nice, okay? Super nice. He's also ranked 4th all-time among tight ends with 955 receptions. And what else? Is there any other accolades here that we have? Not really. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. But what a career, man. What a career. And he was never... He didn't play a down of football in college. So you know how good you have to be for that to happen? That's impressive, man. That's like basically just coming off the streets and getting done. So I just wanted to do this video really quickly. I thought it was a nice tribute to Antonio Gates, a player that I enjoyed watching. If you never watched him, watch the highlights. He was tough, man. His route running was really good. His hands were really good, and he was gigantic for a tight end. 6'4", 255. He was a handful. You know what I mean? So seems like a nice guy. Seems like he did things the right way. Stayed out of trouble. And just every year was, elite. They just never got it done. But you have to be impressed by the consistency and the dedication to go from not ever playing a down of football to being drafted into the Hall of Fame. So this is a shout out to Antonio Gates. We truly appreciate you, my friend. Congratulations on an excellent career, and hopefully he can inspire some other people to follow in those footsteps. So thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you. Really appreciate all the listeners, and share these videos. Some of them are very positive, like this one, and inspirational. Some of them are when I have to put my foot in people's behinds. Pause, no diddy, because they're doing too much and somebody's got to say something. But this is a nice inspirational one. Shout out to Antonio Gates. Make sure you support this brother. And, I wish him the best from here on out. Thank you very much for your time. Very appreciative, very humble. Much love.